Alright, so in our last video, as a recap, we just barely touched into booleans. There's a lot booleans can do for us. There's a lot that actually all of this can do for us. But yeah, we'll get farther into that later on. Let's go ahead and move into character types. I just want to remind you that if you're going to do any kind of code writing and stuff, something I've mentioned in other videos, first off, there's a lot of different languages out there for code. In this black strip up here at the top, let me go ahead and adjust this view here. These are a lot of the different types of languages out there that are possible to learn. I'm currently studying C++. This is my journey in it. Um, but for most of all these languages, you're going to need some sort of editor. Uh, in real world and stuff, we consider this paper and pen or whatever and stuff to keep information, write instructions, whatnot. On computer, there is no such thing as really paper and pen, so it's considered called more of an editor. Most systems have something built into them, but they're very basic. I'm using Windows right now, so it actually has Notepad in it. But I have installed a different kind of editor other than Notepad, which is VS Code. Since I'm learning C++, that is something you actually have to download onto your PC. To get the information to download that, I would like to help you out with that. That is a hard process to do, but I'm not sure if I can still walk you through all that or not. Let's see here. Let's see what I could do to walk you through that. We're still on character data types right here. First thing you're going to need, though, in order to do any of this is an editor, an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Here it is right here on mine. This is what I downloaded. There are many like this and stuff that like it. Keyword being like, not exactly the same. They can do this. Now, if you want to get C++ and start working on learning that, I'm going to have to, for me, revert back to how to download and learn C++. Would be my way of going about doing it. VS Code, install a compiler. So this is probably the route to it. So the first step would be to get the editor, like it shows right here. The second step would be to get the compiler. Let's see here. If we click on this and it brings it up, what does it bring up exactly? So it brings this up right here. Now, there are two different ones here. The MSys2 x8646, and then it's got a huge file right here, or an application right there, or this one right here, which is, I believe, the ARM version. I do not have the ARM version, so this one right here is the one that I believe that somewhat I downloaded. I do not know what the difference is between the two. That would be something for somebody more experienced to answer. I believe that when I downloaded this, I had the help of AI to download it. Uh, and then once you get it installed, there's a few steps you got to take. So you run the installer. Installing it requires 64-bit Windows 10 or newer. So if you have Windows 10 or newer, you can download this. Again, what this is, like I said, the compiler. it translate what you put in to your program into machine language, and then it can output or whatever at that point in time the program can run into your desired installation folder. So then once you install it and stuff, you want a place to put this. Um, Again, this is not something you want to put to where it's on OneDrive. So if we were to look at my folders and stuff, everything above here is pretty much OneDrive except for when I go clear down to local disk, and that's where it is installed, msys64 right here. I did create a shortcut and put it down here on the taskbar so I can easily find it and open it up. And this is what it looks like. It looks like a command prompt when you first get it installed. So yes, put it somewhere. As you can see, it's not on OneDrive at all. Now the download part and stuff, once you download it, it may be on OneDrive at first. I'm looking for the download. There it is right there. So when you get it downloaded and stuff, it may end up right here in the download area, which is fine, but you're going to want to move it to the local disk drive. So, which is why it shows the C colon backslash or slash msys right there, because it's recommending to put it onto your actual drive system or your personal PC storage, not into OneDrive, which is a server-based storage, I believe. Sorry about that. Once done, click finish. So here's kind of the instructions on that. This is coming directly from the website, not from AI, by the way. But click finish. Once you get to this point right here, now MSys is ready for you, and a terminal for the UCRT64 environment will launch. It took me a while to get this done and understood, and I still don't fully understand it. But I got it done and it worked. The test was, once I got it done, to make sure it actually worked here. To make sure whatever code, the simplest code I put in here and stuff actually worked, which was something kind of like just a simple uh, first put this on top. You may not understand what it is, but put that on top first. Put this right here, the main function right there, the curly brackets right here, the return 0 equals right there, and then start putting this in. And just put some sort of simple text in there and stuff. End it, and once you got that done, hit the save right there, Control S, run the code. And if it doesn't come up like this right here, you've probably got something wrong. When I first used to do this, and it used to be on OneDrive and stuff, this would actually be extremely long and it would print out, but it was extremely long. Now it's a lot shorter because I don't have it in OneDrive anymore. So it's not pulling it from OneDrive anymore. It's pulling it directly from a storage off my PC. But if it doesn't show up like this, then you got a few minor errors you're going to have to fix. The next thing after that, you'll probably want to install some tools. So this kind of gives you the tools. So this right here doesn't go into VS Code. You actually need to put this into here. You're going to have to type that specific instructions right here into this command prompt for this. Don't get this confused with the other ones that you may have. For example, right here, I believe it is. I typed in the wrong thing. Yes, right here. There are multiple different ones here. There's 4 of them right there. 4 different compilers, I believe, but like I said, I don't fully understand this, so find somebody that has already done this, that has experience, that can kind of walk you through this. It took me a while to get this figured out and get this done properly. But I will tell you this and stuff. If it doesn't say UCRT64 on it for the system that I am running, it won't work properly. That's why I have this set down here at the taskbar and stuff, so I know exactly which one I need to open up, because there are multiple ones of them. Uh, let's see here. For example, if we were to click on this, there's 5 right there. The one I'm opening up all the time is this one right here. But if we open up this one, it's the same thing except for it has a different phrase in it. So that is not the same command prompt. And the same way goes with for the rest of them. So you want to make sure you're following the directions specifically. You will probably want to install some tools like such and such. Run the following command. But it doesn't tell you where to go. It does give you a picture right here. So follow the picture, run the command. The terminal window will show the output. So once you do run this command, and I can go ahead and actually do this right here. Most likely what it's just going to do and stuff is more likely just going to update what I already have on there. But once it's done, it's going to ask you yes or no right here. Proceed with the installation. It does, so there's some things that say you can just hit enter. You're better off actually hitting the Y key and then enter after that. Yes, then enter. Otherwise, it might skip a few things. And you may have to run this a couple times to make sure you get it fully downloaded and everything goes in there. Now you can call GCC to build software for Windows. And now you can get the version that you have, GCC. After installation, MS will update itself via Pacman. It probably won't update itself. You may have to run this a couple times to get it done. And probably about every 15 days to 30 days as of this year, because of this being the 3rd year for C++. If you plan on working with C++, you're going to want to, every 15 to 30 days, update C++ and the compiler, both. And the reason that is because they are updating C++ itself. Any updates to C++, the compiler needs those updates to be able to read the code as well. So those 2 programs you're going to have to continuously update consistently. So that's pretty much that. There are other things. Sorry about that. There are other things besides uh, this kind of compiler, depending on your system that you have. Again, very specific. This is, I mean, it's kind of the same idea. Are you right-handed or left-handed? So do you want a right-handed or left-handed bat, glove, whatnot? Uh, Another thing is and stuff is, do you wear glasses or don't you wear glasses? Well, that can make a difference in a helmet. So this is kind of the same thing. The system you're running, uh, the editor you're using. I was very specific in everything that I put into this. I watched a lot of videos. I did a lot of research before I actually put this in there. Um, so if I end up going and changing from uh, VS Code to something else, I'm gonna have to do more research and stuff in order to figure out what all I need. That's why I haven't switched yet. I will note that you're gonna need a lot of these tools right here, these extensions. Probably not the Python stuff, or the live server stuff, because live server is more meant for HTML more than it is anything else. Python stuff is more meant for Python. The highlights right here, matching tags, that kind of just helps me out, because if I have multiple tags, I go to highlight it and stuff, it's going to highlight it in the same spot, just like that right there. Hex editor, I have that for the storage of C++, or not storage, but the RAM, the memory. It doesn't work as well as what I'd hoped it would. I got to research that and try to figure that out as well. Code Runner, run C, C++, Java, JS, HPH, Python, so forth and so on. Wow, it's got a lot of them. Runs a lot of them. What is that again? Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of research you should probably do before start to do this. I did a lot of research and stuff before I even started writing the code. Um, close this back down. Before I even started writing the code, I did a lot of research to try to figure out what I needed, what it had to be right, and everything for it to all work properly. And hopefully by the time I'm done with C++ and everything I'm going to learn about C++ with all the other stuff, I have a better understanding. I really can't go any farther than that with it and stuff just because it's so complicated. But once it's done and stuff, I mean, if you really want to do this, you're going to push through it and get it right and get it done, watch videos, that sort of stuff. Okay, so I used up 15 minutes trying to get through all that and stuff just because explaining that stuff, and I'll once I get better understood about that sort of stuff, I can kind of walk you through it easier. Getting this is easy. Getting the VS Code is easy. Getting any of the editors, that's the easy part. Getting C++ to work on any of the editors, that may be a little more difficult. And it even gets harder and stuff when you get to the more complicated stuff, and I still haven't figured all that part out yet. But anyways, keep moving on with the basics. We'll run into those problems later as well, because I'll need to do some more things and stuff in order to keep this stuff going. Right now, in order to, there's a simple command, PACMAN, Pacman, that Shift S, Y. That's one of the commands to update. That's another command to update with just one simple added thing there. I'm not going to do that right now, right here, but let's keep moving on. Character types. The character data type is used to store a single character. The character must be surrounded by single quotes like A or C, which has a single quotes in it. So char X equals single quotes. There's the A in the statement. Char Y equals, there's a single quotes again, C, including symbols. Char Z equals the dollar sign, oops, single quotes first, the dollar sign in the statement. There's your characters right there. And this one right here and stuff, and even the previous example that we did, we used student grade, which is a great one to use and stuff. Why would you use characters? Well, for one, characters can represent grades. Grades, GPAs, a number of things. Dollar signs. You can basically rewrite the character and stuff in a different way, so you can just use the represented variable instead of the actual symbol itself. Great, especially great for, and we kind of discussed this in the last video, if you are not using maybe currency from one country to another and stuff, you're going to need a different symbol from the currency change. Anyways, moving on. Alternatively, if you are familiar with the ASC22, you can, I'm going to type that down here so you can actually see what it really is, because you may not be able to make it out on the screen that I have. ASC2, you can use ASC2 values to display certain characters. Okay, so that's another way we can do it. So besides doing it this way right here, we can also do it this way right here if you know what the values are for the characters. A equals, I know 65 is one of them, and you don't need the single quotes for that. Char B equals, you got 66 right here on the example. I know 71 is another one. Sorry. My gosh, my throat won't clear up very well for some reason. Sorry about that. But yeah, you can keep going. In the last video and stuff, I kind of showed you where the reference guide was for that. So we simply just pull this up. ASC table. And there's a table right there. So yes, we can pretty much, we can get down to the actual letters here. So we can actually put either any one of these symbols in there as long as they're in single quotes from this side. If we don't want to do that, we can put the values in, which are on this side right here. As you can see, 65 represents the capital letter A. 66 is capital letter B. C, which we got up there in single quotes, is 67. The dollar sign, where's that one at? Right there. So that one's going to be 36. It's the decimal value and the symbol. The rest of it is the oct, the hex, and the binary value for it. We aren't going to get to those just yet, so, but yeah. Anyways, so let's keep going through here. This does have a list of the table and stuff in the reference. I don't know how full that is, but moving on. String data types, string types. The string type is used to store sequence of characters text. The string can be as long as what you want or as short as what you want. This is not built-in type, but it behaves like one in its most basic usage. String values must be surrounded by double quotes. So single quotes for characters, double quotes for strings. What is a string? Um, so uh, we'll just go ahead and represent this as A equals uh, hello. So that's a string. Now, why does this look so much different than the rest of the ones? And that's just simply because a string is a set of characters, so you have to give it a different type. It's not a single character. It's not a number. It's a list of characters. It's kind of like a list of characters, but it wants to keep it all together and keep this as a one. So instead of having for the word hello, instead of having 5 different characters, we're saying these 5 characters are actually going to be one, not 5, using the double quotes to relate that. And this is how we do it. This is the command for it. If there's another way to do this, I am not familiar with it yet. Hold on a second. All right, so this is again a string. Um, it's very easy to print this out, so we can either print it out as a string or we can print it out as a letter. In this case, std : out insertion. We can either do the string itself, hello, or if we don't want to do it that way, then we can change it to the value a. Oops, a right there. Then we can simply save it. And when we output this or run it, we get hello. So it works either way. Um, just kind of a way to simplify your code. Everybody's going to know what this means. So you're just using a variable to describe a string of letters or a word. And you're shrinking it down. So instead of having the long text and stuff, we start doing this way and stuff. We have a bunch of variables. So A, B, and then we want integer X, and then we want integer Y, so forth and so on. And it's getting to be a lot shorter that way instead of having all this big text. Hello world, my name is, and yes, I'm not spelling this right, but that's fine. It's just an example. Hello world, my name is X. I am this, I want to do this, so forth and so on. I mean, this is just an example. This is not specifics. So, moving on. Okay. To use strings, you must include an additional header file in the source code, the strings header library. So we don't actually have that included in here, but yet this is working. So I am guessing that this right here is kind of out of date because we were able to use it. We were able to get that printed up and stuff like that. So strings must now be included in IO streams library, where it's saying you have to have it in the library. We don't have it in the library, and yet it's working. So they must have added strings to the standard library. I don't know. This could be out of date. Who knows? It's saying down here, um, string greeting, hello. Now, in this right here example, in fact, if we look at this code right here, it does have this right here. Okay, so it is still using string right there, just like I have right here. It also has this standard at the top, which would be up here, but we're not using that. We're using it down here, so we have it right here. So again, this must be an update for C++ 26. That strings is now included in the IO stream in the basic code. So, could be a little out of date. I'm not sure. Again, all your education as far as this year is concerned for 2026 is probably going to be changed just a little bit by the end of 2026 when they get done rewriting C++ in the compilers. So, very good time right now to actually be learning C++ if you want to learn it and everything, because by the time the end of the year comes up and stuff and you've learned it all, you may have to glance through it again, but you'll be currently up to date for the next 3 years of C++. They won't update C++ again for another 3 years unless there's something major that needs to be changed with it. Moving on. The auto keyword. Wow, we're getting into this really quick. The auto keyword automatically detects the type of a variable based on the value you assign to it. It helps you to write cleaner code and avoid repeating types, especially for long or complex types. For example, instead of writing int x equals 5, you might write, clear this out, delete this, and the example they have. AUTO auto x equals 5. X is, and this is the comment they've got in there, automatically treated as int. Now, in this, when it runs, yes, it will. Auto is great for this because it automatically detects it. But in this case right here, I would still suggest using int instead of auto. And the reason that is is because when you have a list of different types in a bunch, auto is actually a better way to use for that. Where this, if we have x as, or the type is auto, and we have x set to 5, right now x is actually an integer variable. Put 0.5 or point, yeah, 0.5 on there, then x actually changes to a double or a float, but which one is it? We don't know. Some may not. This is just an example right here. There's a lot more details that come with the word auto that we need to understand first before just throwing it in there, because the next question I would ask if I was new to this is, why don't we just use auto for everything? Auto this, auto that, auto again, auto like crazy. The problem with using auto like crazy for anything, I'm going to go ahead and fix this real quick. Auto x, or no, y equals quote hello auto z equals s So the problem with this right here is if you're reading the code, that's fine. But if somebody else goes to read the code and stuff, and they keep seeing auto, 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 I mean, they're probably going to understand it, but they're going to be like, okay, well, is this a float or is this a double? I know this is a string or is it an array of strings or array of characters? Well, because of the double quotes, it's supposed to be a string. In fact, my editor is telling me what it is. This is a constant character with 6 in it. Not sure why it says 6. Probably because of the quotes. 0, 1, 2, 6, yeah. Because of the quotes, it has 6 in it. 6 characters in it. And it's not. It's not a char with 6 characters in it. Let's change this right here to standard string. And now let's see what this says. It still says the same thing. But we don't want this treated as a constant character array of 6. I understand what that says, but other people may not. Now, what's this one represent? Or does this one even come up? Yeah, right there. Char 115. So the editor is actually telling you what it is in other means. You look at a box, you see one side, the editor is telling you, hey, yeah, you see this side, here's what the other side shows. So you're seeing both sides of it at the same time. And this one right here, as a double, uh, so I can't get into specifics on why. I mean, auto's a great word to use, and it should be used. But at the same time, you should also know what they are. So if you consistently use auto all the time instead of using the proper keywords, then you're probably not going to get the keywords down. You're probably going to get lazy about it and go about using just auto for everything. And if that's the case, then so be it. Actually, I do know one reason why you can't use auto for everything, and we'll get to that here in a little bit because we haven't actually gone over that yet, and they should have gone over this first before they jumped into the keyword auto. Uh, but I can play with that once we get to that point. So auto keyword automatically detects the type of variable based on the value you assign it. It helps you write cleaner code and avoids repeating types, especially for long or complex types. That is true. It does help with complex types. For example, and we got the example written down already, starting with C++11 auto became a powerful way to let the compiler figure out the type. So we're letting the compiler figure out the type. What if you don't want the compiler to figure it out? What if you just want the compiler to say, hey, compiler, don't worry about figuring this out. I've got this sort of situation. So then you're at that point in time, you're actually making the compiler do more work, which is actually the processor doing the work because the processor is the one controlling the compiler, I believe. The processor is the one that handles the instructions, which is the one that's going through and detecting everything. So probably yes. So using the word auto is probably a push on the CPU over anything else. Using a type that's already known, the compiler's not having to figure it out. It's got it right then and there. So maybe it's a performance thing. Uh, Became a powerful way to let the compiler figure out the type based on the value you assign it. Yes, if it is a complex one, then yes, use auto. But if it's not a complex one and stuff, if it's something simple, take the work out of the PC, put it into your hands. It's very simple to type it in there. Maybe that's what it is. We'll get to that later and try to explore that and see if what roads we can travel with that. Examples of different types. So it's giving you how you can use auto, and I just pretty much gone through it already right here. Important notes: auto only works when you assign a value. There's another reason why. Auto only works when you assign a value at the same time. You cannot declare auto X without assigning a value. There's what it is. They're perfect right there. Once the type is chosen, you can it stays the same. See the example below. Okay, so it works for this. Okay, but what if we want input? We type this in and we want input from the user X. That's not in there right now. Actually, it is in there. Let's go with A. A. Okay, so A variable is not in here right now. Okay, we can't use the ones that are already declared because it won't change. These are already stored values. As far as I know. We can test that out and find out. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and test this out and find this out real quick. We are going to see, I'm going to get rid of all this right here, play with this. This is kind of the exact reason why we are looking at this and working on studying all this and everything like that. So let's change this to X and see if it changes our value of X at all. Go ahead and hit delete one more. No, we need to standard C out X and enter. So go ahead and save this. So right now X stands for 5.5. Okay, if we get a value, are we going to change it or not, or is it going to give us an error? Run code. 8, enter. So it prints up 8. So it does change the value of our 8. And therefore also probably changes the type. Because this right here sitting right now is a double. 8 is considered a double as well, so it wouldn't change that. But what if we put something else in? Run it again. We put in letter K. Enter. 0. Why did we get 0 that time? Couldn't tell you. Using this word auto, I could not tell you why we got the letter K. Or the number 0. Could not tell you. So with this auto in here, yeah, like I said, it cannot be explained. There's something else I didn't know. The fact that I'm sitting there moving auto around and stuff without actually using the word. So I wonder if I highlight this. Wow. So there's something for you to learn right there. You can simply move the words around by highlighting it, moving it around. You don't actually have to retype it in different places. I didn't know you can do that with this. This must be a new feature for VS Code because I don't think that was possible before. But yeah, using the word auto, I have no idea why we got the letter K. The letter K is not something we could type in if it was an int. It would not allow it. If we simply had int x and we went back through here and deleted the rest of it because of x being an integer, we saved it like that right there. We ran the code. If we tried putting in k now, I don't think it'll print up. No, it still prints it up. I do not know why. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure out why. I do know a way of doing this. Actually, no, I'm not going to do this yet because this is just going to complicate things and confuse you on things. Right now, we'll just consider this undefined behavior since we don't understand why it's doing that. I do know that if you put any kind of number in there right now, though you run the code, you put any kind of number in there, that's the number it's going to give you exactly back. So, but you can't use, I do not believe you can use auto for this. Control save. Let's see what happens here when we go to try to run it this way now. Yeah, we just got an error. With auto, you have to assign it a value first. So give me just a minute. I will be right back. I'm back now. So we can't use auto like this, obviously, but we can add the value to it. And at this point in time, I'm going to simply say that auto is being thrown in here too early as far as the basics are concerned. Because at this point in time, in my opinion and stuff, I think I asked the same question. Why can't we just continue to use auto all the time? And there is an explanation for, like I said, for one, you making the compiler try to figure out what it is. which I think is going to be a performance issue. Auto is a great keyword, especially when it's something complex or a string of things that are different, not the same. We haven't gotten into any of that. That's why I'm kind of thinking that auto is thrown in here too early in the basics. Um, and they don't go into a whole lot of detail with this word. In fact, this is pretty much all there is to it right here. Um, when you go into this right here, learncpp.com, I don't think auto is used until really late. And that's mainly because I know that the word or the type auto or the keyword auto, I'm trying to find it real quick, but I can't. I don't see it. Because they don't even get to chars until chapter 4. Strings until chapter, yeah. Because they get a lot more detailed in this right here. So, like I said, for now, you know about it. It's a basic. If you want to use it all the time, go right on ahead. I can't guarantee your code's going to come out properly with it until you have a full understanding of the keyword auto. Like I said, you can use it for the current way it's being used right now. Setting any kind of variable, set any kind of value to it, and it's going to auto detect it. You cannot use the auto for this though. Oops. And apparently once you set it to one thing, because 1 is an integer, apparently you can't change x like this and expect it to still work. Apparently that's not possible. According to the example here. In this tutorial, we usually use int, double, or other types when type is simple and easy to see, but for the complex type like iterators and lambdas, which we'll learn. Okay, so we haven't learned about any of that yet, so I think it's just kind of giving you the idea that it's there. Let's see what x comes out to be here. I may want to put those the right direction. There we go. Let's see if it comes out to be anything. Yeah. Came out to be an error because auto was already declared. Oh, it showed this as the error. My bad. Let's fix that. Control save. Run it again. 9. Okay, so in this sense, auto is being detected as an int, so it's setting x as an integer type. So even when you put 9.99 there to change x, it's dropping off the 0.99 and keeping it as an integer because integers can't have decimals. If you change this to 1.1, then it becomes a double or a possible float, and in that way this one works as well. So if we change it like that, control save, this is what's known as simply playing around with the code, trying to figure out, understand, see all the sides of the boxes, and everything that's possible with it. Okay, moving on. Well, I'm sure we're going to see the keyword auto again and more things like it. So data type examples, real life examples. Here's a real life example that's showing different data types to calculate an output and total cost of number of items. Okay, so this one right here, example, I'll go ahead and write this example down here so you can see it better. So I don't have to zoom in on the picture here. So we got int item is 50, double cost per item is 9.99, double total cost is items My spelling needs to work. Cost times cost per item. And char currency is. Now here is a fantastic example. Why isn't, if they're showing this right here, they just went through the auto stuff. Why aren't they using auto for these? Why isn't auto being used for items? Why isn't auto being used for double? Why isn't auto being used for char in this example? If they're going to show it, why aren't they using it? Let's go ahead and finish up this example, then we'll switch all these out for autos and stuff and see if we get the same result as what we get with this. Experiment. Why not? Right? Number of items. Like I said, I'm still just copying an example here. Can also tell you one other thing too. They're using double quotes in this. I normally don't use double quotes for that. I normally use single quotes for that. There's something else that I've found and stuff that you can kind of use that for. Do I necessarily want to do it this way? No, I think I'm going to do it my style. Ah, I'm forgetting something up here. Cost per item, cost per item. Here's the next thing. So they have the cost per item and the currency afterwards. Why are they putting a symbol after this? So I'm going to continue doing this right here just the way they got it, and it's just not going to make any sense to me. Probably not you either, but yeah. The new line. Total cost equals total cost. And again, currency. Go to another line here. Currency. That's the end of it right there. Now, yeah, I didn't have the outs like they do and stuff. Also, my code is getting, since I'm zoomed in on it and stuff, I can't put as much stuff on one line as what they can, but that's fine. But either way, this code is exactly the way the example shows. Save it. Let's run it. Number of items 50. Cost per item again. Why is this? Why is the symbol after the amount? Yeah, maybe because of a different this teaching site, maybe from a different country. I'm going to simply rewrite this. We're going to move this to right here. Since I know how to do this now, which I think is kind of neat because I didn't know how to do this before, move this to right here. Same thing with this. To right there. Highlight that, move that to right there. Control save, scrap that, rerun that. And to me that looks better. Makes more sense. $sign first. Okay. Now, can we do this? Let's see. I talked about doing this before. Can we change all these values to auto and get the same thing? We've got it right there, so we got it saved already. Let's see if this works. Auto for there. Why not? AUTO for there. Why not? AUTO for there. Why not? AUTO. Control save. Do we get the same results? And yes, we do. Using auto for every one of them, we still get the same results. Number of items in the first result, 50. Cost per item, $9.99. Total cost, $500. Pretty much $500. Using the keyword auto in place of them and stuff, all of them. Number of items, 50. Cost per item, $10. Total cost, $500. There is the word auto used in place of all of them, and it still works. Will it work every time? I don't know, probably. This is pretty simple code. This is not very complex yet, so. But again, my question is, they just brought it out, why aren't they using it? I mean, it was literally in the last one. If we click on previous, there's the word auto. Click on next, they give examples, and they don't even use auto. Anyways, next. Next one is an actual challenge. We're not going to do the challenge. We're going to skip that. We're going to go to operators. Scrap this. So, if you're wondering that same question as what I am, maybe you can provide me or anybody else with an answer to that. I do know that there's a few reasons why you don't use auto all the time. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's one, a performance thing. Using auto makes the compiler have to do a little bit more work, which I believe the compiler runs through the CPU, but I'm not sure. It may not be that much work, but I'm not sure. I do know that you can't declare a variable with auto without having a value set to it first. So you have to, if you're going to declare a variable, you have to set a value to it. Also, using auto right here, you don't know exactly what this is. You don't know if it's an integer, a double, a float, what exactly it is. And you won't ever know because it's not going to tell you. But you can set it yourself and know exactly what it is at that point in time. Or you can mouse over it like this and stuff and integer items. It's telling you. Same thing with that. Same thing with that. Same thing with that. So it's telling us what it is. I don't mind using the word auto like this. I prefer to consistently stay used to using both the actual keywords and the word auto both. I'm not a lazy person and stuff, so I like to know that what the difference between integer, double, float, boolean, character, all that stuff is. Instead of just using auto for everything. But again, if you can in the comments and stuff and kind of give an explanation of this, kind of clarify this a little bit, great. Thank you very much. I want to remind you that this is not me educating anybody, maybe inspiring a little bit to learn something new. Answer some difficult questions. I know the answers are in here somewhere. I just haven't gotten to them yet. We're dealing with W3 schools, and they do not contain all the information about C++. It's a very thin layer of basics. But yeah, you have any questions about it, throw them in the comments. You have any comments about it, throw it in the comments. You have any answers for it, throw it in the comments. Can't say that I'll get to them, but you know what? It'll bring up a nice little topic to discuss. So there you go. That's it for this video. I'll get to the operators in next video. May not make another video tonight, but if I do, so be it. If I don't, it'll be tomorrow. So I hope this was quite educational. We went through quite a few of these just in today alone. Not as many as I got through before, but I mean, we can speed through this a little bit faster, hopefully, maybe in the future. But right now and stuff, as I learn about these and stuff again, because this is all refresher to me. I've already done this before. I am exploring, experimenting with this stuff, seeing what I can and cannot do, as you can tell, because I didn't do this before. So until next time, have a good day.